backs. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm going to share this a couple more places today. Oh, let's put it on WhatsApp. Let's send it to some AA friends that never, ever watch it. All right. And then back to here. It's funny because sometimes people also will start to go back and forth, and this guy, they're talking about the new Star Wars movies. I'm like, well, they're not going to be watched. So this guy's like, well, you're old, and you're not going to be able to watch them, which I thought was pretty good. I'm like, okay, all right, we got something here. And he started getting a little pissy with me. I'm like, come on, man, we're just having fun. So I wrote back, I said, you know what? I've been a geek for 53 years. I made it cool for punks like you. Okay, stop with the old jokes. You could do better than that. This is the way. Now we're laughing, right? It doesn't need to be fucking serious, people. You are allowed to have your opinion and be friends. Did you know that? I hope so. My brain just wondered why the fuck I'm even doing this. See how quick. Bam, bam, bam. Emotion can go so fast. Can. So, we're going to be reading out of the big book. We are. Page 164. See, and this is the problem. This is what's starting to happen. Is now I'm starting to get too spread out. I don't know where my stuff is at. And this is what leads. You know, I like being organized. So, welcome in Daily Trudge. I've been begging for somebody to join me and organize me. People are like, why don't you ask for help? Okay. I do. And I'll keep trying. You know, sometimes you have to ask more than once. Sometimes you have to ask like 50 times before it gets to the person that you need to get to, right? So, all right. It is Saturday and everybody is in the house. I know this. Maybe not the whole country. Everybody's at home, sipping their cocoa. Do we have cocoa? So, I'm going to be starting. We are going to be reading from A Vision for You. I will get to page 164, and I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to start at the beginning and I'm just going to kind of skip through the whole chapter. I don't know how long it's going to be. I don't care. Let's do it. Chapter 11, Vision for You. For you, man. A whole chapter written for you. For most normal folk, drinking means conviviality, companionship, and colorful imagination. Not for my wife. She doesn't need it. I know a lot of people that don't drink that are normies. A lot of people. In fact, almost everybody I know does not drink, including my family. It means release from care, boredom, and worry is the joyous intimacy with friends and the feeling that life is good. I remember those days. Yeah. Man, they were fleeting, though. They were fleeting and fast. It went by quick. Alcohol does that. It speeds up time. But not so for us with those last days of heavy drinking. The old pleasures were gone. So at the end there, I would feel okay for about a certain amount of time, and my wife and I figured it out. 10 minutes. It's about 10 minutes of time that I was okay during the day. That's what I was given. For you, that's probably where it was. What do we call that? The first drink. Once I got to the second, no, it was gone like that. Why? Because if I started drinking, nobody would want to be around me. That's why. Never could we recapture the great moment. Oh, they were but memories. Never could we recapture the great moments of the past. Okay. And we try to search for this. Oh, do we search? Okay. We go to sordid places. We do all sorts of crazy things just to recapture that. And you're never going to recapture it. You cannot experience something new twice. See, that wasn't explained to us, was it? We weren't told that. See, most people don't know. We don't understand that the newness is what we're feeling. Mm-hmm. Yep. It's like being pregnant a second time. It's not a new experience, is it? Well, it's going to be a different experience, but it's not new. For those that like to be particular. There was an insistent yearning to enjoy life as once we did, and the heartbreaking obsession that some new miracle control would enable us to do it. There was always one more attempt and one more failure. No, we found other things like drugs to enhance. Okay. A lot of people in the program, yes, I know that you use drugs in order to enhance what you were feeling. It was a new feeling. And in the beginning, it worked. There was that new feeling again, of which you would never, ever feel again. Okay. That's something that kind of tends to get to people. When I hear people with 5-6 years saying they're on a pink cloud, I just want to smack them because they do not understand the pink cloud is no good for us. Okay. Here's a part we don't read very often, so I'm going to read it. In the chapter Working with Others, you gathered an idea of how we approach and aid others to health. Wow, approach them. Okay. You already know what I'm talking about because the same people kind of listen to me. So suppose now that through you, several families have adopted this way of life. You will want to know more about how to proceed from that point. Perhaps the best way of treating you to glimpse of your future will be to describe the growth account of the fellowship among us. Here is a brief account. Years ago in 1935, one of our number made a journey to a certain western city. From a business standpoint, his trip came off badly. He had been successful in enterprise. He would have to be set on his feet financially, which at the time seemed vitally important. But his venture wound up in a lawsuit and bogged down completely. The proceeding was shot through with much hard feeling and controversy. Bitterly discouraged, he found himself in a strange place, discredited and almost broke. Still physically weak and sober but a few months, he saw that his predicament was dangerous. He wanted so much to talk with someone, but whom? One dismal afternoon, he paced about a hotel lobby, wondering how his bill was to be paid. This was Bill, by the way. At one end of the room stood a glass-covered directory of local churches. Down the lobby door opened into an attractive bar. He could see the gay crowd inside. In there, he could find some companionship and release. Unless he took some drinks, he might not have the courage to scrape an acquaintance and would have a lonely weekend. Of course, he didn't drink. But why not sit hopefully at a table, a bottle of ginger ale before him? After all, had he not been sober 6 months now, perhaps he could handle, say, 3 drinks, no more. Fear gripped him. He was on thin ice. With a shiver, he turned away and walked down the lobby to the church directory. Music and gay chattering still floated to him from the bar. But what about his responsibilities, his family, and the men who would die because they would not know how to get well? Oh, yes, those other alcoholics. There must be many in this town. He would phone a clergyman. His sanity had returned, and he thanked God. Selecting a church at random from the directory, he stepped into a booth and lifted the receiver. His call to a clergyman led him presently to a certain resident of the town who, though formerly able and respected, was then nearing the nadir of alcoholic despair. It was an unusual situation, home in jeopardy, wife ill, children distracted, bills in arrears, and standing damaged. He had a desperate desire to stop, but saw no way out, for he had earnestly tried many avenues of escape. Painfully aware of being somehow abnormal, the man did not fully realize what it meant to be an alcoholic. When our friend related his experience, the man agreed that no amount of willpower he might muster could stop his drinking for long. A spiritual experience, he conceded, was absolutely necessary, but the price seemed high upon the base of suggestion. He told how he could live in constant worry about those who might find out about his alcoholism. He had, of course, the familiar alcoholic obsession that few knew of his drinking. Oh, they know. They know. They just don't want to say anything. They fear you. They fear you. He had, of course, the familiar alcoholic obsession. Okay, why, he argued, should he lose the remainder of his business only to bring still more suffering to his family, foolishly admitting his flight to people from whom he made his livelihood? He would do anything, he said, but that. Being intrigued, however, he invited our friend to his home. Sometime later, and just as he thought he was getting control of his liquor situation, he went on a roaring bender. For him, this was the spree that ended all the sprees. He saw that he would have to face his problems squarely, that God might give him mastery. One morning, he took the bull by the horns and set out to tell those he feared what his troubles had been. Found himself surprisingly well received and learned that many knew of his drinking. Stepping into his car, he made the rounds of people he had hurt. He trembled as he went about, for this might mean ruin, particularly to a person in his line of business. At midnight, he came home exhausted, but very happy. He has not had a drink since. As we shall see, he now means a great deal to his community, and the major liabilities of 30 years of hard drinking have been repaired in full. Wow, that's pretty good. This man did 30 years of hard drinking and was able to recapture his life in 4 years. That's pretty astounding, man. But life was not easy for the two friends. Plenty of difficulties presented themselves. Both saw that they must keep spiritual active. One day they called up the head nurse at a local hospital. They explained their need and inquired if she had first-class alcoholic prospect. Nothing like a first-class alcoholic prospect, right? She replied, yes, we've got a corker. He's just beaten up a couple of nurses. Goes off his head completely when he's drinking, but he's a grand chap when he's sober, though he's been here 8 times in the last 6 months. Understand, he was once a well-known lawyer in town, but just now we've got him strapped down tight. Okay. And then it tells us what this is. This refers to Bill and Bob's first visit to AA number 3, which I think is it. I get the names mixed up. I want to say Ebby, but it's not. Okay. Here was a prospect, all right, but the description none too promising. Okay. So the story we've heard so far was Bill meeting Bob. See, Bill was on business and it didn't go very well. He was 6 months sober and he didn't know what to do. So he called a church. And that's when he met Dr. Bob. Okay. Now, he met Dr. Bob instead of walking into that bar. And it kept him sober. Intensive work with other alcoholics will always save the day. It will always keep us sober. Here was a prospect, all right, but by the description, none too promising. The use of spiritual principles in such cases was not so well understood as it is now. But one of the friends said, put him in a private room. We'll be down. 2 days later, a future fellow of Alcoholics Anonymous stared classily at the strangers beside him. Who are you fellows, and why this private room? I was always in a ward before. Said one of the visitors, we're giving you treatment for alcoholism. Hopelessness was written large on the man's face as he replied, oh, but that's no use. Nothing can fix me. I'm a goner. The last 3 times I got drunk on the way home from here. I'm afraid to go out the door. I can't understand it. For an hour, the 2 friends told him about their drinking experiences. Over and over, he would say, that's me. That's me. I drank like that. The man in the bed was told of the acute poisoning from which he suffered, how it deteriorates the body of an alcoholic and warps his mind. There was much talk about the mental state preceding the first drink. Yes, that's me, said the sick man. The very image. You fellows know your stuff all right, but I don't see what good it'll do. You fellows are somebody. I was once, but I'm a nobody now. From what you tell me, I know more than ever. I can't stop. At this, both the visitors burst into laugh. Said the future fellow anonymous, damn little to laugh about what I can see. The 2 friends spoke of their spiritual experience and told him about the course of action they carried out. He interrupted, I used to be strong for the church, but that won't fix it. I prayed to God on hangover mornings and swore that I'd never touch another drop. At 9 o'clock, I boiled as an owl. Next day, found the prospect more receptive. He had been thinking it over. Maybe you're right, he said. God ought to be able to do anything. Then he added, he sure didn't do much for me when I was trying to fight this booze racket alone. On the 3rd day, however, the lawyer gave his life to the care and direction of the Creator and said he was perfectly willing to do anything necessary. His wife came scarcely daring to be hopeful, though she thought she saw something different about her husband already. He had begun to have a spiritual experience. You'll know these. You'll know them. It feels different. That's what people say. It feels different. I don't know what it is this time around, but it feels different. And these are our indicators. That afternoon, he put on his clothes and walked from the hospital, a free man. He entered a political campaign, making speeches, frequently men gathering places of all sorts, often staying up all night. He lost the race only by a narrow margin, but he had found God, and in finding God, had found himself. That was June 1935, and he never drank again. He too has become a respected and useful member of his community. He has helped other men recover and is a power in a church from when he is long absent. So you see, there were 3 alcoholics in that town who felt they had to give others what they had been found or be sunk. After several failures to find others, a 4th turned up. He came through as an acquaintance who had heard all the good news. He proved to be a devil-may-care young fellow whose parents could not make out whether he wanted to stop drinking or not. They were deeply religious people, much shocked by the son's refusal to have anything to do with the church. He suffered horribly from his sprees, but it seemed as if nothing could be done for him. He consented, however, to go to the hospital, where he occupied the very room recently vacated by the lawyers. He had 3 visitors. This is wrapping this last paragraph of this story. He had 3 visitors after a bit. He said, the way you fellows put the spiritual stuff makes sense. I'm ready to do business. I guess the old folks were right after all. So 1 more was added to the fellowship. Now, I want you to notice what these people are doing. They're taking their own experience. Okay, everything that they've learned. So your experience is fact. What you have gone through is fact, including your recovery. And that experience in and of itself can save somebody else's life. Remember when you came in and you had so many problems that you didn't think anybody ever understood it, but yet here we sit Heck, it's me and one person right now. And here we sit. And it's just you, me, and God. But we're learning. We're learning. And I don't even know who's here. I don't need to. Only God needs to know that, right? But we got to be careful. We got to be careful. We got to give ourselves some time. Okay? Now, I know that I tend to say time isn't necessarily success, but in this situation, time is going to matter because it takes time to heal. Okay? We've been through some pretty traumatic things, and it's okay to take time to heal. What you're doing is you're becoming the person that you need to so that everybody's life you touch, you can help. It's amazing what this program will do for you if you decide to follow a few simple rules. Let's go to page 164. Still, you may say, but I will not have the benefit of contact with you who write this book. I'm going to tell you, yes, you can. All you need to do is show up at 5:30 on Wednesday, Mountain Standard Time, while we cover a manuscript that was written by the first 100 people on how they went through the program. We cannot be sure. God will determine that. And God did determine it. He gave it to us. He wants us to remember how they did it. See, it worked. Now, society has changed some, and how we talk to people may be a little different, but how we go about it is not. None of this has changed. God will determine that. So you must remember that your real reliance is always upon Him. He will show you how to create the fellowship you crave. It's got an asterisk. Okay? Alcoholics Anonymous has 2 million people in it. I'm sure you can find your group. Right? Even in our groups, we tell the newcomers, this may not be your group. Find yours. It's okay. We'd love it if you stuck around here. But if this isn't your group, you know what? We'll help you find a right group. That's how we work in AA. It's about the individual. It's about the group coming together to help the individual. Then it is about the individual sacrificing to give to the group. Our book is meant to be suggestive only. Now listen to this next line. We realize we know only a little. After everything that they've given us, they're still saying, we barely even touched it. What does that mean? That means there's more for you and I to discover. There's that personal adventure that we call life. God will constantly disclose more to you and to us. As long as you stay open-minded and listen to His children, this will happen. It happens to me daily. The key here is listen. It doesn't matter who's talking, but I don't like that person. Doesn't matter. God may use that person to try and deliver His message to you. And if you're not open-minded, you're going to miss it. That's going to suck because you asked for direction and He gave it to you and you're it's not cool. You know, how would you like it if somebody asked you for help? You gave it to them and they la-di-da-died, right? No. Now, the difference is God doesn't take it personally. I do. I take it personally, don't I? God doesn't. Okay? He's like, oh, there goes Dion being human again. And then I come back, hey, God, that was a wrong mistake. Please help me correct it. I will go make the amends that I need to. Okay? Ask Him in your morning meditation what you can do each day for the man who's still sick. It's the only thing we need to ask for. When we do that, God puts our life on a give and take basis, which is balance. And that's what we want. Balance. That's what I want. I want balance. Because balance is where serenity is. And I'd much rather be serene than happy. The answers will come If your own house is in order, that's the key. Okay, then here it is. But obviously, you cannot transmit something you do not have. I talked on this a little bit. If you haven't experienced the yets, then don't talk on them. See, I don't know why people do this, but the fact that you sobered up earlier than everybody else is a very huge, big thing. The fact that you didn't go through the yets makes you a better example than me. Isn't that awesome? Did you ever think of it that way? Because I'm hearing a lot of people didn't think of it that way. Just because I went further down doesn't mean I know more. What it means is you don't have to do it. You don't have to do that. Okay? So when you come in, you need to understand you're perfect. God wants you that way. And if you haven't been through the yets, you're further ahead than me, man. Yay. But obviously, you can't transmit something you haven't got. See to it that your relationship with him is right, and great events will come to pass for you. And here's the great part, and countless others. Countless. It's cool. Okay, it's things like this. Right now, even while I'm talking, I'm helping a couple people out. I have other things that I have done that are currently also helping other people out. I don't need to be a part of them. I don't need to be around for them, but it is happening. Somewhere, somebody is talking to somebody else about these same things, something I have covered with them. I guarantee it. I know this because I've talked to thousands of alcoholics, and there's no way it's not happening. See how much good you can do in this world. I'm living proof of it. Anybody that's got a little bit of time in the program is living proof that you can change the life for a lot of other people out there for the better, for the better. This is the great fact for us. And it is a fact. It is the great fact. Remember, experience is fact. Abandon yourself to God as you understand God, Not how I do, not how everybody else. Yours. Is that cool? Okay. Also, real quick, please stop talking about Jesus in AA. Would you stop it, please? All right. We're open to all pathways. Okay. Jesus doesn't belong in AA. That's your religion. Okay. Nobody's coming in and talking about their saviors. Okay. Hi, Ingrid. Admit your faults to your fellows. Admit your faults to him and to your fellows. Clear away the wreckage of your past. Give freely of what you find. And join us. Join us. Jump on the wagon, man. Put yourself in the middle of the wagon. Enjoy it. Everybody gets a spot in the middle of the wagon. You came exactly when you were supposed to, right? Because you're a wizard. And wizards only show up when they're supposed to. Hi, Ingrid. If you don't get that, go ask your son. He'll get it. I know you guys from Lord of the Rings. All right. We, that includes Bill W., it includes Dr. Bob, it includes Ebby, everybody that's come before you, okay? We shall be with you in the fellowship of the Spirit. Okay? Bill's here right now. The first 100 are here right now. Right now. We shall be with you in the fellowship of the Spirit, and you will surely meet some of us as you trudge the road of happy destiny. And yes, we trudge. Trudging is not bad. Actually, trudging is actually a positive thing. But there's some keys here. Meet some of us as you trudge your road of happy destiny. And while you're going down your road, you're going to have visitors. People are going to pop in. Ingrid's going to come in and say hi. Amber's going to come in and say hi. Bob's going to come in. Bill, and all these different people that you've ever known, even if they're gone, is still living within you. We call them memories. And it is memories that keeps somebody else's spirit moving on. That's the way I see it. That's my opinion. Right. And I hope it helps. May God bless you and keep you. Until then. What does that mean, until then? That means it's going to happen. That means it's going to happen. Hey, Trev. Good to see you, brother. I might come back and preach a little bit later, but considering this was supposed to be about 10 minutes long and it turned into 30. So, yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I know I wish I'd do more, but I'm trying to balance things out, how I do my time. So, my therapist asked me to try something. I'm trying it. So far, I don't like it. All right. I love you all. Thanks for being here. Peace out and have a day. I love you guys.